You can't even do household chores properly, and you don't even pay the rent. You must be a scammer after my wealth.
What? A scammer?
I can't keep a scammer in this house. Please leave immediately.
I couldn't take it anymore. All right, I'll leave today. Saying this, I packed my things and left my in-laws' house. My name is Sarah, a 29-year-old nurse. I recently broke up with a boyfriend who I had been dating for 3 years. I had been thinking to marry him, but he cheated on me. Then, my friend thoughtfully set up a matchmaking for me. There, I met Michael. Michael fell for me at first sight and actively pursued me. Michael is my age and works at a company apparently run by his father. He wasn't bad looking and had a pleasant demeanor, which made a good impression on me. My friend also said, "Isn't it rare to find someone with such good qualities?" So, I decided to start dating him. After dating for about a year, he proposed and we got married. When I first visited his family home for our marriage introduction, it was indeed spacious and luxurious, befitting a businessman's house. I think it was at least twice the size of my parents' house. My father is a civil servant and my mother is a homemaker, so I grew up in what you would call a typical household. We weren't poor, but we also didn't live in extreme luxury. The people I grew up around had a similar standard of living, so it felt like my first time visiting a wealthy person's home. I remember feeling suddenly nervous in front of his family home. My first impression of my in-laws was that they were quite intimidating and strict. My father-in-law, with a deep voice, said, "Glad you could come," and had an air of dignity. My mother-in-law silently assessed me with a scrutinizing gaze. I wondered if I made a bad first impression. Did I choose the wrong outfit? Filled with anxiety and worry, I felt like my heart was going to burst, but as we sat in the living room with snacks and tea, I realized they weren't as formidable as they seemed. My father-in-law spoke kindly to me and showed genuine interest in my job and my time as a student. My mother-in-law was nodding and smiling, so it seemed I wasn't disliked after all. My in-laws seemed to trust me fairly well, knowing I was a nurse and my father was a civil servant. Getting their consent for the marriage was a relief for the moment. After formal greetings between both families, we had a successful wedding, and our life as a married couple began. Initially, we lived in an apartment owned by my father-in-law. It was just the right size for two, and we didn't have to pay rent since it was owned by my father-in-law. Our newlywed life was going fairly well. If I had to complain about one thing, it would be that my husband couldn't do any household chores. In his family, they had a housekeeper who did everything since he was young, so he never learned to cook or clean. Therefore, I ended up doing almost all the household work. It was manageable when I worked day shifts, but quite difficult when I had night shifts and had to prepare dinner in advance. Still, being newlyweds and living together was fun, so I didn't mind it too much. The situation suddenly changed about 2 years into our marriage. My husband suddenly suggested, "Let's move in with my mom and dad." The reason was that the apartment was fully occupied, and they wanted to rent out the room we were living in. Then why don't we buy our own house or rent a place elsewhere?
No, it was Mom who suggested we move in together.
Oh, really? If my mother-in-law herself proposed living together, it wouldn't be easy to dismiss the idea. My husband had lived at his parents' home until our marriage, so maybe his mother felt lonely with him suddenly gone.
If we live in my childhood home, we won't have to pay rent like before. It's close to both our workplaces too. All positives, right?
Indeed, being close to work is a plus. Moreover, with a helper at my in-laws and my busy night shifts, not having to do household chores is helpful. All right, let's live together. So, we decided to move in with my in-laws. However, my expectations were soon to be betrayed.
This will be your room. It used to be Michael's childhood room, though.
His room was spacious enough for both of us with room to spare. He had such a large room since he was a child. It's much larger than the studio I rented during nursing school. As I was overwhelmed again by the size of my in-laws' home, my mother-in-law began to make a surprising remark.
So Sarah, sorry to ask so soon, but could you take care of the house cleaning?
What?
What's wrong? Is there a problem?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I thought the housekeeper would handle the cleaning.
Oh, we've decided not to employ a housekeeper anymore.
What?
Well, there's no need for one now that you're here, right? So, I'll leave it to you.
Saying that, my mother-in-law returned to her room. I immediately confronted my husband who was there. Hey! You never told me there was no housekeeper. Then my husband, without any remorse, replied,
Well, you never asked.
No, normally you'd explain such important things without being asked.
What, you wanted to take it easy? Just do the housework like you always have.
Like always? Do you have any idea how different this house is from that apartment? And with no housekeeper, I guess I'll have to cook for your parents too, right? I was utterly dismayed. We would have been better off renting our own place. As expected, cleaning the in-laws' house was tough. It took about 2 hours just to finish sweeping and wiping. Next came cleaning the bath and toilets. I was impressed at first, but now I'm just annoyed at why there have to be 3 toilets. After finally finishing all the cleaning, it was time to prepare the meal. I tried to prepare a meal with what was in the fridge, but it was full of ingredients I'd never used before, so I ended up searching the internet for suitable recipes. When I finally finished and served it to the parents and my husband, everyone's reaction was lukewarm.
It's definitely different from usual.
Well, it's understandable for the first time. You're not a pro like the housekeeper was, after all.
Why do I have to be criticized to that extent? And even my husband didn't take my side, instead he complained.
And Sarah, you're taking too long for both cleaning and cooking. Please be a bit more efficient.
And try to make less noise. It wasn't this noisy when the housekeeper was doing it, but today was really loud.
Understood. I'm sorry. I was quite angry with my in-laws for saying whatever they wanted. Then let's see if I can meet the level you all are satisfied with. I tried my best with cooking and cleaning to the best of my ability. However, it seemed I was nowhere near the level my in-laws were satisfied with, and they complained every time.
Haven't you ever done household chores before? Can't you cook something a bit better? This commoner's food isn't even fit for dog food. Really, incapable of anything, are you after our wealth?
Maybe even the fact that you're a nurse and your father is a civil servant could be a lie.
Why do I have to be spoken to like that? And about a month into living at my in-laws, my mother-in-law made a surprising statement. I was about to sleep after a night shift when suddenly my mother-in-law called me.
Sarah, The rent for this month hasn't been paid yet?
What? Rent? What do you mean?
What? You thought you'd live here for free? How audacious is that?
Excuse me, but wasn't it Michael who suggested we move in together because there was no rent?
Well, he's a child of this house, so he doesn't have to pay rent. But you're different. Please make your payment.
I can't accept that.
I don't care whether you agree or not. Not being able to do household chores properly and not paying rent, you must be a scammer after our wealth.
What? A scammer?
I can't keep a scammer in this house. Please leave immediately.
I had reached my limit. All right, I'll leave today. Saying this, I packed my things and left my in-laws' house. I went straight back to my parents' house, where my mother was outraged after hearing my story. That night, my father, returning from work, also said, "You don't need to deal with such people anymore. Get a divorce." My husband sent a message asking, "What do you mean you left the house?" But I ignored it. The next day, there were numerous calls from my husband. Eventually, I couldn't keep ignoring him and answered the call. "Hello? You're being persistent."
It's serious. Mom is.
"What?" "Calm down. What happened?"
Just come over, please.
Worried that something had happened, I went to my in-laws' house. My husband greeted me and led me to the living room, where my in-laws were. What? Mother-in-law, did something happen?
If I didn't do this, you wouldn't have come here, right?
Sarah, let's have a proper discussion.
It seems I was tricked into coming here. Discuss what? I left because your mother told me to.
I apologize for my behavior. Please, I'm asking you to come back.
I'm asking too, Sarah. I want to be with you.
I am sorry for not considering your feelings, Sarah. I want you to continue living with us as a member of this family.
Saying this, my father-in-law bowed his head. I was taken aback by this unexpected turn of events. Well, maybe I was being a bit stubborn too. Maybe it's okay to stay in this house a bit longer. Just as I started to think that, my phone suddenly rang. The call was from my father. I wonder what it's about. "Excuse me, it might be an emergency call from the hospital," I said and moved a bit away to take the call. "Hello, Dad, what's up?" I listened in a low voice, just in case.
Well, I overheard something that concerned me.
"What?"
One of my colleague's sons, who worked at Sarah's husband's father's company, suddenly resigned. Something about the company's management being in jeopardy.
"What?"
It seems there are many others who have voluntarily resigned.
Thank you very much for telling me that, Dad. After hanging up the phone and returning to the living room, I said firmly, "I cannot return to this house. I will be divorcing Michael." My in-laws and husband were shocked and wide-eyed at my statement.
Why, Sarah, why?
What do you mean, after we've been so humble?
You insolent. Who do you think you are?
Is it okay to speak like that? You really need my and my family's money now, don't you?
What?
How do you know that?
Even Mom and I only heard it from Dad yesterday.
My father's colleague's son worked at your father's company. It's said to be close to bankruptcy, and it's becoming a rumor of the company. And Michael, it seems you're not trusted by other employees, not even informed about internal matters. Anyway, I can no longer live with you all.
Wait. Please help us. We're family after all.
Huh? Family? After you've called me a scammer? From my perspective, you're the real scammers. Please don't get involved with me anymore. I'll handle the divorce through a lawyer. My in-laws were too shocked to respond, hanging their heads in dismay. Afterwards, the divorce was finalized smoothly. At first, he was reluctant to sign the divorce papers, but when I threatened to take it to court, he immediately signed as they lacked the funds for a legal battle. Looking back, everything that happened at my in-laws makes sense now due to the precarious state of their finances. Even the apartment managed by my father-in-law must have been a struggle without any rental income. And with no money, they let go of the housekeeper and made me do the household chores. It's astonishing that not only my husband, but even my mother-in-law failed to realize the perilous state of their own household finances. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. Eventually, my former father-in-law's company went bankrupt, and they were left with a substantial debt. They sold their house and the apartment they owned, reducing their debt to a few million. But since both my former father-in-law and husband lost their jobs, they now live in a cheap apartment, working temp jobs to pay off their debt and living modestly. I hope they use this as an opportunity to reflect on their arrogance and live more honestly. Meanwhile, I moved into a studio apartment and started living alone again. After this experience, I've had enough of marriage and plan to live independently and single. Of course, I'm open to dating, as there are many ways couples can be nowadays. So, I'm considering a domestic partnership with someone compatible in the future. For now, I plan to enjoy my single life, like going on overseas trips with friends.